Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we will be discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 5, text 18. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Swapake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. So, in this section of the 5th chapter, we are seeing what happens to the person whose mind, intelligence, his faith, everything is reposed on the Supreme Lord and thereby gets that transcendental knowledge. By dint of the transcendental knowledge, what is his vision? We all have a vision, isn't it? I view somebody, we have a prejudice. When we see somebody, oh, this person is black or white, or he's from this caste, or he's from this country, or he has this kind of quality, he always does this. So there are different visions by which we look at people or we look at this world. And that cripples our functionality in this world. And that is one of the reasons why there is so much of unrest in this world. So, what is the right vision? Particularly if you become equipped with transcendental knowledge. Krishna explains here. A person with the right vision is called a Pandita. Not that just a mere learned scholar, experienced, equipped with scriptural knowledge or philosophical knowledge. But in reality, his vision is not perfect. No. Pandita means Samadarshinaha. That's what Krishna says. Pandita has to be having Samadarshina, equal vision to all, to whom all these entities are given. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane. The Pandita sees a learned and gentle Brahmana as well as a Gavi means cow, Hastini means elephant, Shuni means a dog, Cha Shuni Chaiva Swapake means a dog eater with equal vision, Samadarshinaha. So Panditaha Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Swapake Cha Samadarshinaha. So Prabhupada writes this translation as the humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, outcast. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, a Krishna conscious person does not make any distinction between the species or castes. The Brahmana and the outcast may be different from the social point of view, or a dog, a cow, or an elephant may be different from the point of view of species, but these differences of body are meaningless from the viewpoint of a learned transcendentalist. Why? Because this is due to their relationship to the Supreme. For the Supreme Lord, by his plenary portion as Paramatma, is present in everyone's heart. So, the Supreme Lord as Paramatma, the Super Soul, is present in everyone's heart, including me, including you, including every countryman, including every human, every animal, plant, every living entity. Krishna is there as Super Soul. That's what Prabhupada says. Such an understanding of the Supreme is real knowledge. The Lord is equally kind to everyone because he treats every living being as a friend, yet maintains himself as Paramatma, regardless of the circumstances of the living entities. So one should not say, oh, now the Lord has entered the body of a hog or the heart of the hog of the living entity. So the Lord also is now become contaminated just like the hog is associating with all the things, obnoxious things. No, that's what here it is said. The Lord maintains himself as Paramatma, regardless of the circumstances of the living entities. He maintains himself as Paramatma, the Supreme Lord. He is transcendental. He is not subject to these material conditions. Even though the living entity, the spirit soul within that body, he is thinking himself as a hog, he is associating with all kinds of things in the body of a hog or an insect or a human being or a tree or an aquatic. The living entity also is there in the heart of such a species. The Lord is also there as Paramatma. The living entity is getting contaminated and is identifying completely as that body, but the Lord is completely transcendental. He is there out of his kindness to always give counsel when the living entity will turn towards him. And he is there sanctioning the desires, facilitating the enjoyment of that jiva who wants to enjoy separately from serving the Lord. And so Prabhupada mentions further, the Lord as Paramatma is present both in outcast and in the Brahmana, although the body of a Brahmana and that of an outcast are not the same. The bodies are material productions of different modes of material nature, but the soul and super soul within the body are of the same spiritual quality. The similarity in the quality of the soul and the super soul, however, does not make them equal in quantity. For the individual soul is present only in that particular body, whereas the Paramatma is present in each and every body. So there are two souls within each body, the individual soul, the Jiva, who we are, and then the Lord as Paramatma is also there. And different bodies are products of material nature. All right. But ultimately, within those bodies, however different those bodies are in this world, but within those bodies, the spirit soul is there as part and parcel of Krishna. And Krishna is there as Paramatma. In this way, we can have an equal vision. Oh, spiritually, they are all spirit sparks. However, we should not make a mistake that, oh, spirit spark and the super soul are one and the same. No. We as spirit soul are present only in my body, our bodies, whereas Krishna as super soul is present in all the bodies. He can understand the pains and pleasures and desires of all the bodies, whereas we cannot understand the pains and pleasures of other bodies. So a Krishna conscious person has full knowledge of this, and therefore he is truly learned and has equal vision. So this is called the equal vision. Samadarshinaha. To see equally means having this vision. Hey, everybody is spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. And everyone in their hearts, Krishna is also there. So now practically, then why does Krishna created this, or why did Krishna create this Varnashram Dharma, where we segregate, oh, this is Brahmana, this is Kshatriya, this is Vaishya, this is Sudra. Why can't we treat everybody? Because everybody is, the body may be different, the soul is the same, or the soul is the part and parcel of Krishna. In that sense, they are all one and the same. why there are different, why can't we treat a dog, a cow, a tiger on the same platform, elephant on the same platform? See, having an equal vision does not mean treating them equally on the bodily platform. On the bodily platform, we still have to make distinctions. Why? Because the other living entity, like for example, in the body of a tiger, the body of an elephant or a dog or a reptile, they are not in a position to understand their spirit souls. And you try to artificially go and, let's say, embrace a tiger, what will happen? We all know. That is not how one sees with equal vision. The equal vision is, yes, they are all spirit souls. How can I help them to act like a spirit soul? How can I help a Brahmana to act like a spirit soul? How can I help a Kshatriya to act like a spirit soul? How can I help a Vaishya to act like a spirit soul? A Sudra, or a Mlecha, or a Yavana, doesn't matter. A man, woman, a child, old man. How I can make them act like a spirit soul? Because an animal cannot understand that he is spirit soul. So we should let the animals live naturally according to the laws of material nature. The Lord has a program for them. There are 8,400,000 species in this world, and the living entities are transmigrating from the lower species, from an aquatic to that of a tree, to that of a insect, to the reptile, to birds, beasts, and then the human beings. They're transmigrating. So in animal species, they cannot have this transcendental knowledge, and we should not disturb them. You try to, that's why you go to the forest and you try to disturb them, and they get shaken up and they become quite anxious. And in return, you might get attacked as well. So equal vision does not mean going and treating them on the bodily platform. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could do, Krishna could do things like that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the forest. He was en route to Vrindavan and he had to go through Jharkhand forest. And he was singing Hare Krishna mantra, and all these wild animals were joining him in Sankirtan, irrespective of their statuses. The tigers, the deer, the elephants, they were all embracing each other and crying in ecstasy. The Lord could do that. The Lord delivered a dog back home, back to Godhead. Even though the dog is considered a very abominable species. Particularly, Prabhupada mentions the dog so nasty that it passes, that water on tulsi plant even. So the dog is considered so abominable in that sense. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered because the dog belonged, or the dog is given shelter by another devotee, Shivananda Sen. They were all coming to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the dog joined their party, got into the boat. And Shivananda Sen, one of the great devotees of the Lord, showed compassion. It's okay, let the dog come. And the dog participated in their tour, heard all the chanting, and whatever remnants they were giving, he was eating. And then one day, somebody, shoot the dog away out of anger. And the dog left the party. And Shivananda Sen became quite upset and anxious how the dog was shooed away from their midst. And he was lamenting, oh, what would have happened to the dog? And so finally they come to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then there they see the dog. And the Lord is throwing the remnants of coconut pulp to the dog, and the dog was catching and eating. And Lord is saying, chant Hare Krishna, and the dog was chanting in his own way. And the next day they couldn't see the dog because the dog died and went back to Godhead. The Lord could deliver. When he went to South India, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is a place where there are the Saptatala trees. During Ramachandra's time, they were there. And it is said that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced those trees in connection with Lord Rama, those trees got liberated and went back to Vaikuntha right in front of the eyes of the devotees. And they concluded that only Lord Ramachandra could do this. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Lord himself. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can do that, but we cannot do that. We cannot act on that platform. We cannot go and make a wild animal chant. It will be disturbing to us as well as to the entity. So we leave the animals alone. And by chanting loudly, an insect or a tree or a dog or any creature on the street, they get benefited spiritually. Haridas Thakur said this when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, how can we deliver these poor creatures? Then Haridas Thakur said, by loudly chanting the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The sound is so powerful that these creatures get purified by hearing that sound. So we are doing the best service. This is equal vision to propagate the holy name of the Lord. We are doing the best service to every living entity. Not that artificially bring them to the spiritual platform and act without common sense. Like there are distinctions, like let's say now come to the human beings. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, we were talking about how Krishna created this system. We cannot artificially, materially bring them to the same platform. Even in the material world, for example, a judge comes, everybody rises up and they all address him, Your Honor. And they sit only when the judge sits. And in the same room, there is a worker who is saluting the judge and who is tasked with cleaning up the room and all of those things. Can we say, oh, they're all on the same platform, let's put him on the same seat? No. Because there are living entities who have, by qualification, come to a particular status or chose to be in a particular status. We should respect for who they are. But it doesn't mean just because they are spirit soul, you have to treat them on the same platform, on a material platform. Based on their qualification and inclination, guna and karma, they are segregated into different buckets. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha. Based on one's gunas, one's qualities, and one's actions, this world is divided into different castes. They're not castes really, varnas they're called. For want of a better word in English, they can be called as castes. It's not artificially, oh, Krishna is condemning, oh, somebody you become a Sudra, or somebody now you become a Brahmana. No, it's by qualification. A Sudra also can become a Brahmana by choosing to act like a Brahmana, by choosing to cultivate modes of goodness. A person born in a Brahmana family can choose to be a Sudra. In the sense, Sudra is not like a condemned word. Sudra means those who want to serve and be happy by serving others. They have certain abilities, like somebody is a plumber, somebody knows how to write code even. They're all, it's called artistry. Somebody knows how to dance and give pleasure. So they give service to people, service to others, and they depend on the income that is generated from that service. So Sudra is not a bad thing. It is based on their inclination and the gunas they cultivate. So we should not artificially bring everyone to the same platform. Because just like the body, we need a head. Without proper thinking, planning, we cannot even function, isn't it? We also need legs for making us go where we want to execute the task. We need hands for protecting ourselves. And we need a belly to digest the food so it can circulate everywhere. So every organ has its importance. But the right equal vision is that everybody should be given Krishna consciousness because ultimately they are spirit souls. It is with this vision the self-realized soul acts. Like Srila Prabhupada, when he came to the West, he was giving his mercy. He was treating these mlechas and yavanas. He was seeing the spark. They have spark. He was fanning that spark. Oh, this man can become Krishna conscious. And one Mataji was saying, a Westerner who got initiated by Srila Prabhupada in 1967, she was a very strong and independent young woman. And she met Srila Prabhupada in 1966. And Prabhupada, he did not demand conformity to orthodox role as a woman. He didn't, like one Mataji was saying, they were going to Prabhupada with t-shirts and jeans and, skirts and shorts even. Even during initiation time, they were showing up on with jeans and so on and so forth. But Prabhupada was so compassionate. He understood that the women in that part of country, they were brought up in that circumstances. But he saw their spirit soul. They have the potential to become Krishna conscious. So he fanned that spark, overlooking their bodily dress. And they surrendered eventually. They got initiated. And then slowly they understood the importance, why the Vedic scriptures prescribe certain attire for women, certain roles for women, certain activities for women. Not with the sense of bad discrimination, not with the sense of exploitation, but they're all needed. The role of woman is needed in Vedic culture as a binding factor for the family, as an emotional binding factor for the family. So there are so many things a woman can do. Like not just women, there are so many roles for so many people. They should all play those roles. At the same time, practice Krishna consciousness. So that is the true equal vision. A Samadarshina means having true equal vision. Not that sometimes for example, Prabhupada went to talk to a Christian professor or Christian priest. And when Prabhupada said, the spirit soul is there in all the bodies and they're all servants of God. And then he said, the Christian priest, he said that no, they believe that only the soul in the body of a human being is immortal, whereas the other animals, It's not. He said, the exact words he said are, Prabhupada said, all souls are of the same value. And then this priest said, that I find hard to accept because, as I understand it, the soul of man is immortal, but the soul of an animal is not. An animal soul is not really a soul at all, but a principle of life, something Aristotle called a psyche. Therefore, man has higher value than animals. And Prabhupada clarified, no, spiritually they're all of equal value. Although materially their bodies may be of different gradations, it is just like the different gradations of motor cars. A man sitting in a Rolls Royce thinks he is very important, and a man sitting in a Ford or Chevrolet thinks he is poor. But as men, both of them are equal. Similarly, the body of a human being and the body of a dog are just different machines, but the souls are of the same quality, part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, Krishna. So this is Samadarshina. This is equal vision. Not that, oh, the animals have no soul and therefore we can eat. I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments? Trying to unmute. Yes. Okay.
Hare Krishna, go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
All the rest is for Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhuji, in today's class, you explained about a judge and janitor example.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a question. In real life, when we are trying to implement this or see in when we are facing people or situations where we are trying to see everyone in that platform, but then sometimes we come across cruel mentalities or manipulative mentalities or criminal mentalities. So how do we act in that situations, knowing that maybe their gunas are
Yeah, so we are not Uttama Adhikari to treat everyone. A Uttama Adhikari sees everybody engaged in service of Krishna. But we, as ordinary devotees, we cannot see on that platform. So a next level of Uttama Adhikari is Madhyama Adhikari, where he sees four classifications of people. One is Krishna, the Supreme Lord, whom he loves. And then he sees the devotees who he associates with and makes friendship with. And then he sees those who are innocent and he gives the mercy. And then he sees those who are ignorant or envious and he upeksha. He just leaves them alone. Let the nature take its course. Let the government take its course. Do our duty towards them as a citizen of the state or as a human being, whatever is our duty. So we should act like that until we become really Uttamadhikari. If we are not even on the second level, we should act like in the third level, which is Kanishta Adhikari. Be happy by worshipping the deity in the temple and keep to ourselves, practice our sadhana until we come to the second stage and then the final, highest stage. So I actually have to attend to another meeting now. So if there are further questions, please message me. I see another person trying to ask the question. So, or we can discuss tomorrow.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.